we're going to create one using double-sided tape. This is 1/8 inch double-sided tape. 1/4 inch would probably be better. This is what I have on hand. So if you want to know how you can tell if you have white core cardstock or solid core cardstock, usually it will tell you on the packaging. I can't tell it. Let's see if you can tell. If I can get it to focus on the very edge. But if you look at the very edge, if you look at the very edge there, you can tell that that is white in between the layers of color. So for this, I'm going to need a pair of scissors. And I don't see where my little scissors have gone off to, so I'm going to grab the big ones. Again, we're going to start with the covers, and I'm just trying to find the edge of this tape here. I got this tape at Tuesday morning. I think it was like $1.50 per roll, which that's not too bad. I don't know if this is archival quality, so I wouldn't use it on the photos themselves, but I'm okay with using it for constructing the album. And we're going to put a couple extra pieces here in the center. Just most double-sided tape you can tear with your fingers. This you cannot. And I apologize for the noise. We got one of our dogs is making a lot of noise in her crate. And this is a Cricut weeding tool. This is not what I bought it for, but it works very well for this. So I'm gonna pull that up. And now I'm gonna eyeball the center. Since I've got the label there, I'm gonna make sure I cover that part. Eyeball that, brush that down. And I'm going to repeat with the next page. So we've got everything taped down, we've mitered the corners. Now we're going to fold everything over. And this time with the double-sided tape, I'm going to go right up to the edge. All the way around. Eventually it'll be all the way around. I'm going to start doing one side at a time, and I'm going to put one piece of tape on the chipboard. The other piece is going to go on the cardstock. And with this cardstock, I want to be careful because this is white core cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and burnish that down. And I'm going to gently try to fold this up. I want to avoid as much cracking as possible with this cardstock. Probably still going to get some cracking. Don't think we're going to be able to avoid that. This brand of cardstock is the Paper Studio, which is the Hobby Lobby brand. I find that Recollections works better for me. That is the Michaels store brand. So I don't want to be endorsing Hobby Lobby versus Michaels. I have better luck with the Michaels store brand than I do the Hobby Lobby store brand. so we got the first one done. I'm going to finish up the second one and I'll be right back. All right, I have got the covers done. Now I'm going to put the spine together, and then I'm going to, couldn't avoid the cracking with this paper, so I'm going to ink up the edges with some Distress Oxide before I put everything all together. The Distress Oxide will help kind of not necessarily hide all the imperfections, but it will definitely be helpful. Eyeball the middle here. That looks pretty good. And burnish that down. Now I'm gonna go grab, I think with this color, aged mahogany is gonna work, so I'll be right back. All right, so it would help if I put a blending tool on there, wouldn't it? This blending sponge I got from scrapbook.com. I have the Ranger ones. For some reason, I just like the ones from scrapbook.com better. Yeah, that aged mahogany is really helping out there. If you don't have any distress inks at all, you probably want to start out with the regular distress inks. Well, it really depends. If you have plenty of physical space in your crafting area, then it probably doesn't really matter whether you start off with the oxides or the regular distress inks. I started with the regular distress inks because those are available in the mini, and I don't have a whole lot of room. I have probably 80 square feet here, all total. And in my trailer video, that is pretty much, wow, didn't mean to shake the camera. That is pretty much my entire crafting space right there in one shot. So space is kind of at a premium for me. So instead of going for the oxides right off the bat, I collected the entire regular distress ink collection just to see which ones I reach for the most. And those that I reach for the most are the ones that I got in the oxides. And for a while there, I didn't think I was going to get the oxides at all. I just thought, what do I need the oxides for? I got the regular ones. The oxides are very different in the way they behave. Particularly when it comes to water. If you are going to be working with any wet media, you're going to want to remember that regardless of whether you're working with the oxide or the regular distress ink, it will always react to water. So I'm going to set this aside because I know I'm going to need it again. Again, we're going to leave about 1/8 of an inch gap right there. One of the advantages to using double-sided tape is that you can get the placement pretty much exactly where you want it. One of the disadvantages is that once you put that down, it's down. You are not moving it. So be sure of your placement before you put it down. And I can actually go right up to the edge on this. Just right here on the spine cover itself. Now there is a trick that if you want to get some of the advantage of using liquid glue and using double-sided tape, you can use both at the same time, and the liquid glue will give you a little bit of time to wiggle it around before the double-sided tape grabs it, and then the double-sided tape will grab it and hold it while the glue is drying, and then you'll get the benefit of having not only the hold of the tape, but most liquid glues actually have superior bonding, a superior hold. to double-sided tape. And this is where it's going to be a little bit tricky. I need to make sure that I put it down right where I want it the first time. That over, and now I gotta find the end again. There we go. Now, I have seen some people recommend leaving a gap right here, up there. I have not had the problem with it interfering with the way it closes, so I haven't done that. But I have been told that you'll have fewer problems with the album or the folio closing if you leave a gap right in there. Who knows, maybe this folio will show me why that's true. I'm going to do it right this time and add the closure piece. This is how it's supposed to do. Score it at 5.5 inches and at 5 inches. Fold that over, it's probably gonna crack, that's okay, I'm gonna ink it. Fold that over again. So now we've got that, and we're going to put tape on it. You will go through a lot of tape. This is 1/8 inch tape, and since this is a 1/2 inch flap, I started off doing 1/4 inch flaps, and I just found that they weren't. That wasn't enough to reliably grab onto and adhere to all the things they needed to adhere to, so I started doing 1/2 inch flaps on everything. You'll go through a little more paper that way, but it's better to go through more paper in constructing it than waste paper building an album that's just going to fall apart. I'm going to eyeball the center, and I'm looking at this score line right here. And I don't want it all the way down to the edge, just a little bit above the edge, somewhere close to the center. You could probably measure it out, but I'm going to burnish that down. There we go. Now we're going to lay down the interior cover, the inner cover. Again, this is paper that has a direction on it, a very definite direction. So we want to make sure that we get this right side up. Now, Now for the rest of the adhering, I'm actually going to focus on placing that down inside the cover. Again, we're not going to have a whole lot of weight on this. If we were going to have a whole lot of weight on this, I probably would go for liquid glue right here. But for the purposes of demonstrating building one entirely with double-sided tape, that's not really necessary. One thing I am going to do, I am going to come right up to the edge here, because I know that's going to want to buckle when I go to fold it closed. And just in case you were wondering, this is the brand of double-sided tape that I'm using, and there is the Tuesday morning code 2160276. And there we go. Now I found the starting point. I am putting a lot of extra tape down here on the spine just to prevent buckling. We've got the downside facing down, and again we've got the downside facing down on this. This is directional pattern paper. The trees definitely have a specific direction that they're facing, so I'm going to try to hover this just barely over the folio before pressing it down to kind of eyeball where the center is. And that looks about right. Burnish this all down. Especially right through here. This is the pattern paper that I've selected for the front of this one. And again, this is the same pattern from the previous one. This is going to go on the back, and this is my spine. Here is the last little bit. Find that. And before I started filming, I've had these cut and ready to go for a couple of days now. Just had a little extra time watching TV, so I grabbed the trimmer, grabbed my papers, grabbed all my measurements, and sat down and trimmed out papers and put different pattern papers together to decide what was going to go with what, just to make this go a little bit faster. And all in all, this would probably not be my chosen way to make one, make a folio, because This is going a little bit slower than what I normally can do when I'm using a combination of adhesives. All right, so we've got the outside cover and the inside cover done. Now we just need to slowly bend and hope that this doesn't bow. I'm going to ink all these edges. All right, there is book number 2, folio number 2. And I took my glasses off, so I can't tell if that's in focus or not, and I hope so. If not, y'all, I'm sorry. I thought y'all might want to see this. This is all the release paper just from tonight. Actually, I have a feeling I'm going to continue finding more release paper all over the place when I clean up in here tomorrow. So that is a lot of release paper.